Coming up, the Cowboys and Eagles battle out for bragging rights in the NFC East and some interesting interconference matchups across the board. This is Locked On Game to Game NFL.
Every game, every team, every angle. Locked On Game to Game, your team every day.
Welcome in. You're listening to Locked On Game to Game NFL, local experts taking you from game to game in week 6 of the NFL season. I'm your host, Kainani Stevens. Thank you so much for making Locked On your first listen every single weekday. The Giants have proved so far this year that they are legit. They will get another chance to prove it as they take on a legitimate dual threat quarterback in Lamar Jackson this week and the Ravens. Locked On Giants walks us through the defense and what they'll need to do to slow down Lamar.
The New York Giants are looking to improve to 5-1 this year with a win over the Baltimore Ravens on Sunday at MetLife Stadium. But in order to do that, they're going to have to figure out a way to slow down quarterback Lamar Jackson, who is undefeated against NFC teams. What's up, everybody? This is Patricia Traina, host of the Locked On Giants podcast. And if the Giants are to slow down Jackson and the Ravens offense, they're going to need to do two things. First, they're going to have to consider putting a spy on Jackson and force him to beat them with his arm. And if they can accomplish that, they'll probably want to pay extra attention to tight end Mark Andrews, the team's leading receiver, ensuring that he's tightly covered. Now, here's the good news for the Giants. Defensive coordinator Wink Martindale probably knows that Ravens offense as well as anyone outside of their organization, thanks to his days as the Ravens defensive coordinator. Thus far, Martindale has shown creativity in devising effective game plans for the Giants that have changed from week to week, making it difficult for opponents to get a beat on them. What will he dial up against Jackson and the Ravens, and will it be what the doctor ordered? We'll find out Sunday. And be sure to keep it here on the Locked On Giants podcast as we'll break it all down for you after the game and in the days after.
It's no secret the NFC East was pretty much a joke last season, but now it holds 3 of the best teams in the league so far in 2022. One of the matchups of the week is going to be the Cowboys and Eagles battling it out on Sunday Night Football. Locked On Eagles and Locked On Cowboys talks us through the game plan for both sides.
Gino Camilleri, host of the Locked On Eagles podcast, here to bring you the keys to victory for the biggest week of the season, Dallas week. The Philadelphia Eagles are 5-0. The Dallas Cowboys are 4-1. The biggest key is taking away the defense of the Dallas Cowboys. If you could subdue Micah Parsons, Trevon Diggs, DeMarcus Lawrence to allow your offense to operate, that will make all the difference. Micah Parsons looks like an alien from another planet with how athletic, how freakish he is. DeMarcus Lawrence has been Lane Johnson's kryptonite, and Trevon Diggs has provided headaches for the Philadelphia Eagles in his first couple years here. And what does this mean in the NFC East? Well, it's a 2-game swing. How these work in division games, you win one, the other team loses one, that's a 2-point swing. Going to 6-0 and taking a commanding lead of the division, sending the Dallas Cowboys to 4-2 would make all the difference. But if they drop one, it's 5-1 and 5-1 and Dallas has the tiebreaker. You take away that defense, you allow Cooper Rush to have to throw and have to be that quarterback that outduels Jalen Hurts. As long as Jalen continues to do what he does, keeps that offense moving, and the defense can continue to keep points off the board, this Eagles team can move to 6-0. Gino Camilleri, host of the Locked On Eagles podcast.
If the Dallas Cowboys want to beat the Philadelphia Eagles this weekend in Philadelphia, they are going to need to stop the run and have the best passing performance they've had so far this season. Hi, I'm Landon McCool at the Locked On Cowboys podcast, and going into Philly week at Philadelphia against the undefeated Philadelphia Eagles, the Cowboys are not, unfortunately, going to have Dak Prescott as their quarterback, getting another week of Cooper Rush, who obviously has been fantastic going 4-0 in Dak Prescott's absence. But this week is going to be another level, another test for Cooper Rush as he goes against the undefeated Philadelphia Eagles in a game that the Cowboys desperately need to win. he is going to need to have a better passing day than he's had in these other 4 matches, simply to keep up with the points that are going to be put up on the board. I have no doubts that the Cowboys will be able to hold up on defense against the Philadelphia offense. The key obviously being stop the run, as I mentioned, so that they can be put into passing down situations where the Cowboys defense will really thrive. But on the other side of the ball, the Cowboys are going to need to throw the ball down the field. They've survived most of these games by playing good defense and having a strong running game, but that is not going to be enough against the Philadelphia Eagles. Cooper Rush is going to need to get great performances from his supporting cast, namely the offensive line and the wide receivers, in order to make enough plays to generate the points that are required to beat an undefeated Philadelphia team and still stay somewhat in step with them for the NFC East title game. For more on this and all Cowboys news and also all NFL news, make sure you check on the Locked On Cowboys podcast or any of the football podcasts on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Coming up, the Panthers are coachless as they head out on the road to take on the defending champs. This is Locked On Game to Game NFL. Today's edition of Locked On Game to Game is brought to you by LinkedIn. These days, every potential new hire can feel like a high-stakes wager for your small business. You want to be 100% certain that you have access to the best qualified candidates available. That's why you want to check out LinkedIn Jobs, because LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the right people for your team faster and for free. I know I've personally found a couple different jobs through LinkedIn. It's really easy to apply, and you can see all of my credentials right there when I apply, so you can see if I'm qualified or not right away. It's great for businesses. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find that qualified candidate you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedonnfl. That's linkedin.com/lockedonnfl to post your job for free. Terms and conditions do apply. The Panthers are going to begin the post-Matt Rule era with a trip to LA and a matchup with the Super Bowl champs. Locked On Panthers says it's up to the players now to be better if they want to turn things around.
The Carolina Panthers need to get after Matthew Stafford if they want to come out victorious on Sunday afternoon in Los Angeles versus the Rams. Hi, I'm Julian Council, the host of Locked On Panthers. Through 5 weeks of the season, the Los Angeles Rams are dead last in the NFL, allowing 21 sacks. And in 3 of their losses, they've allowed 19, including 64 pressures. The Rams through 5 games have started 5 different offensive line combinations due to injuries, and it looks like they're going to start their 6th on Sunday when Carolina comes to town. The Panthers have not been great getting after the passer so far this season. While they're ranked 9th in pressure rate in the NFL, they've only recorded 8 sacks on the season, 4 of which coming from Brian Burns, a Pro Bowler in 2021. So if they want to find a way to become victorious and give interim head coach Steve Wilks his debut victory, they're going to need to get after the passer and get Matthew Stafford on the ground, like the Rams have allowed him to be on the ground more than anyone else in the NFL so far this season. For more on your Carolina Panthers and this weekend's big matchup, be sure to check out the Locked On Panthers podcast every Monday through Friday, free and available wherever you get your podcasts, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
That's all for today on Locked On Game to Game NFL. Thank you for making Locked On your first listen every single weekday. Make sure you go and subscribe to Locked On NFL on YouTube and wherever else you get your podcasts. I'm Kainani Stevens. This has been Locked On Game to Game.